You happy? Okay, fabulous. All right, Joel, thank you for joining me on Headstrong. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
My absolute pleasure. We were just chatting before we kicked off, talking about your weekend, how you multiple countries.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time abroad.
Yeah.
How many days have you spent in the country this year?
Oh God. You know what? I could probably count that, on two hands, literally. I just got back off a massive world tour where in the space of a month, I went to Nashville, Miami, LA, then to Dubai, then Australia, then China. So yeah, a lot of different time zones in a short space of time.
Yeah, that's a lot of hotel rooms as well, a lot of time away from people. What are the things you take, like creature comforts, that you always remind you of home?
Creature comforts. Do you know what? I always bring my Dyson hairdryer.
Love it.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I just find the hairdryers in some hotel rooms just I ain't the ones.
Yeah.
But no, I don't really have many creature comforts, to be honest. I kind of spent so long on the road and so many years doing the touring that it's just got used to it. I don't feel like I need to bring anything from home to.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose one thing about touring though is you do spend a lot of time on your own.
Yeah.
I know that you, of course, have certain people that you are always around, but you got to get used to being on your own and comfortable with yourself, which of course you are. But what are you like with that kind of loneliness?
Yeah, definitely. There is that side to it where it is really lonely, because I have my little touring team, my tour manager, and I have a few different videographers that will join me here and there in different countries. But the majority of the time is just literally on my own, and you got to get used to that. But because I've done it for quite a while now, I'm totally cool with that, and I actually like the space to be on my own because it gives me the chance to really focus on my work and be in my own head and not get distracted.
You like picking up your laptop and doing work whilst you're almost anywhere actually. Who am I kidding? You love work.
Exactly, yeah. And I'm always thinking about my work around the clock, and any sort of spare time that I do have, I usually spend that working. And yeah, I love what I do, so I don't find that a negative thing. Any sort of spare time that I've got, I enjoy doing my work. And
do you implement routine on tour? Because I guess being a DJ, again, you say you're used to it, but there are going to be those nights where it's just mega late. You don't know what time sometimes you might finish.
Yeah.
And then you need to make sure you get your sleep. Because for me, that would probably be my non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Where you've got to make sure you get enough hours in. So how do you implement routine and make sure there's some sort of consistency?
That's the most important thing for me, is trying to keep my routine while I'm traveling. When you're going in different time zones and the hours of DJing are so weird, sometimes you're finishing at 4 or 5 in the morning. So it's difficult to keep the routine going, but that is the way that I stay on point. So whenever I land somewhere, whatever country, whatever city in the world, I'll go straight to the gym, get my workout in, get that hour in. That's my anchor. And that's a box ticked. And I'm okay, this is the start of the day almost. And then my diet, I try to keep it as clean as possible, because if I feel like I'm eating bad food, that really kind of can start to mess my head up and messes the routine up. So yeah, get my workout in, keep my diet on point, and then sleep is something that is really difficult to keep consistent with the DJ life and the touring life. A lot of it is done on planes, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's probably the hardest thing, is actually the sleep. Sometimes I find it really, really difficult, and there'll be times where I feel like exhausted, but I just can't switch my brain off because I'm on a different time zone. My body's what's going on? Jet lag's a real thing. Mentally is a real thing. It can really affect you, the way you're feeling, your mood, not just a physical tiredness. It can really affect your mental state as well. So you kind of got to stay on top of it and really not let it really affect you in a bad way.
Do you fight it, or do you because people would lie there just lying awake being oh my God, why can't I sleep? Or do you actually just get up and be okay, I've accepted it?
Yeah.
Because you can't dwell on it, I suppose. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You kind of, exactly. The worst thing is everyone knows that feeling of lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and you can't go to sleep. It's a horrible feeling. So I kind of just go with it in those situations where I'm I'm not going to sleep right here. I'd probably get up and just do work or go to the gym. Just whatever. And then obviously when you get those days where maybe you haven't got a gig on, that's where you try to recover. sometimes I do like long stretches though, where I'll be DJing like, 5-6 nights in a row. And then at the back end of that, there's like a bit of a calm down where you might have 1 or 2 days off and you're just absolutely shattered. And that's where you got to recover and look after yourself and then go again.
Yeah, you're very like personable, you're outgoing, you like to have fun. When you do spend a lot of time on your own, how often are you calling your family or staying in touch with people at home? Because that's what, again, where your anchor is, because I know that you love your family.
There's definitely like a few people that I'd always like stay in touch with back at home, like my sister, my girlfriend, my mum, and my best friend. So wherever I'm in the world, they're like a support system for me, and always asking how I am, like just having normal conversations.
So they check in?
Oh, they're always checking in, and I'm doing the same back to them. And that's actually a really nice thing about like obviously technology today. Like even if I'm on the other side of the world in Australia, I can still FaceTime, my sister at some time and catch up with her, and then it feels kind of normal.
Have you ever? Is there a time that you can remember where you were like, I just wish I was at home? Can you like remember where it's just like, I'm actually kind of done?
You know what? No.
That's good.
No, I'm very grateful for my life and like the opportunities that I have. And even in the times where I do feel like a bit run down or a bit tired or a bit homesick, whatever, what always overrides that is just knowing how lucky I am to do what I do. And like, I am touring the world, DJing. Like DJing is a hobby. That's what I was doing when I was a kid in my bedroom on my decks. I'm now like getting paid to do it and traveling the world. There's no way I'd ever feel like, like I'd ever complain about that situation or feel like I'd want to stop it.
Time away as well, it can affect those kind of relationships as well on the love spectrum side of things. I mean, I know that, and I know that you won't mind me saying this, you're probably in love with your work first, and then there's the relationship side of things. But have you ever been in that position where you're like away and it's kind of like that's got in the way, like work gets in the way, or are you actually kind of accepted with whoever you're with or whatever's going on?
My work does come first with me. It has to be that way with like what I'm trying to achieve and get to. I have to be like so fully focused and immersed in my work because the levels are so high. Like making music, releasing music, trying to have hit records, playing these sets all over the world, building shows. And there's so much that goes into it in different aspects. And it's a 24/7 commitment, honestly. Like from the moment I wake up in the morning to the moment I go to bed, my mind is thinking about my work. And that's the way it is. And that's the way it's been for years now. And obviously like relationships, especially with the touring life as well, because I'm away from home so much. It's difficult, but if you're with somebody that does understand what I'm doing and the way I operate, then it can work. And like, obviously sacrifices have to be made to make things work. But I think if you're with someone that's supportive enough and like believes in what you're doing as well, then.
What's your current situation?
Yeah. No, I'm in relationships with somebody now, and it's all good. Like I'm away a lot.
Yeah.
But when I'm away, I also can like bring that person with me.
Yeah.
Or like, if I got a few days off here and there, it's exciting as well because, I was in Thailand recently and they came over.
Getting to share that kind of time with them is so special.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, again, as you say, you're so lucky to travel the world ultimately as well. And when you get to take the person that you care about the most, that's pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, it's so fun. And it's like, it also keeps it kind of fresh as well. I've had long distance relationships before and they are workable as long as you're like willing to put the work in to make it happen. And also, as I said to you, like, I think sometimes if you don't see somebody for like a week or so, but then when you see them, it's kind of exciting. And that's what keeps like the fresh and excitement side of it alive too.
What piece of advice would you give to somebody in a long distance relationship then?
When you get the time together, you just got to like make it really special. And when you eventually do get that time, if you don't get to see each other for like a couple of weeks or so, when you do have those moments together, just like be present in the moment and try to put like everything else aside to make that time special.
Yeah, love it. Right, let's rewind to growing up in Barnet. What was your upbringing like? What were the kind of opportunities presented to you? Were you quite fortunate, or kind of describe that kind of upbringing to me?
I'd say like I had a pretty like normal upbringing. Like at home, I've got an older brother and a younger sister, and I grew up in North London. Went to East Barnet school. Played football at school, like most boys do.
Yeah.
And DJing was my hobby alongside playing football, basically, sort of going to the gym. And I just had a big love for the DJing, like from a young age. When I started, I was about 13, 14 years old. And, you know, when I got home from school every day, I'd be on my decks in my bedroom. Like, my mum hated it because my brother was DJing as well. So she had 2 DJs just like slamming tunes. And the neighbours like knocking on the door going, turn this racket down.
Did you enjoy school? Like, was that an enjoyable time? I mean, I know that, let's be real, kids that age don't necessarily enjoy school, but they like being around their mates.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. You're playing football with them. When it's fun, it's fun. But what were you like at school? Were you quite naughty?
I struggled at school when I first went to secondary school. I struggled with school with like anxiety problems, and I like had to like move class, and it wasn't like really bullying. I just had some issues that I overcame though, and I think I settled in properly when I was like 13, 14. And I liked school at that point. And I was good at school, like on the academic side, you know, did the GCSEs and everything, and it was all good. But I always had this like almost thing inside me that I wanted to do my own thing. So when I started like earning money doing my DJ sets on the weekend, I had like a mobile disco company. So I was doing like people's like weddings and bar mitzvahs and nan's birthdays, whatever party, that DJing at the pub. And I was making like cash in hand. And I was only like 15, 16. And I was thinking like, this is great. Like I'm earning like decent money doing something I love. So then when it came to like thinking about a career and getting into 9 to 5 and like trying really hard on the academic side, I think I was like, no, I'm doing my own thing over here. This is what I like to do. And then, yeah, that's kind of, from that point forward, I had my sort of heart set on this is the path that I wanted to take.
Just touching on that, those kind of anxieties at school, because there are so many people, particularly kids at school, who really struggle with that fitting in, or, you know, even like an argument with your mates.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily bullying as such, but like it makes you feel, you know, anxious. So like, how did you deal with that? How did you kind of overcome those anxieties at that age?
It was really hard, actually, if I'm honest with you. Like, I haven't really spoke about it a lot before, but my parents were going through a divorce at the time. So they'd just split up. And this is just when I started secondary school. So it's quite a big jump from primary to secondary school. And it was weird. It came out of nowhere, but I suddenly started to really struggle. I was like in the classroom and I was just like having these anxiety attacks, and I had to like, I didn't know what was going on because I was only like 12 years old, whatever. And I was like, oh my God, like I feel so weird. Like I need to get out of this classroom. And then I started struggling going to school, and my parents didn't know what was going on. And I was kind of like, had to go and see a doctor and stuff. And like, looking back at it now, it was like an anxiety issue. And I just overcame it from basically just battling through it. Because at the time, nobody really knew what the problem was.
It's just, I think also at school back, you know, I mean, even when you and I were at school, mental health was not part of the PSHE system. No. People were, it was almost ignored to an extent. It was, you know, let's swipe it under the carpet. He's feeling a bit, you know, rough around the edges.
That's kind
He'll
of
be okay.
like how it was, to be honest with you. And I didn't really know what was going on. I just knew that I didn't feel right. But yeah, I did like get through it, and it made me a lot stronger. And honestly, since then, I haven't had any issues with it at all.
Yeah.
I overcame it at the time, and from then onwards, I've been absolutely fine. But it was a bit of a hurdle at the time to get through.
How important in that particular period was your brother?
Yeah, my brother was always there for me, but I honestly just feel like people around me didn't really know what to say to me. It was, as you said, I just think back then there wasn't as much talk around like mental health and that side of things. So I didn't really feel like anyone knew what to say to me, and it was just kind of like, I was just feeling like something wrong with me, like I've got to get through this.
Okay, upon reflection then, is there anything that you wish that someone had said or wish that you'd had, you know, that kind of would have helped with that anxiety?
Yeah, I think...
Did you go to a therapist?
I didn't actually, no. I didn't go to a therapist. And I kind of think at the time when it was like suggested, I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
You think it's a weakness, right?
Yeah, I was like, I'm not doing that, which is crazy because now like, there's obviously no issues with doing that at all. But at the time, I just think, yeah, was a different attitude towards those sort of things.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, but that's the way it was. But listen, like I said, you know, I did get through it and came out of it at the other end a lot stronger. And then I got through the rest of the school years absolutely fine.
And as you mentioned, your brother bought you your first decks, right?
Yeah. And my brother was DJing, and then like I was like, I want to DJ like my brother. So I was like, Mum, I want some decks as well. So one Christmas, she got me the decks.
That was it.
Then we all had decks in the house.
And that's DJ Jenga was born.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, that was Joel's first DJ name, which I like.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
It's a cool name, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, my brother was an MC.
Yeah.
And back then we played garage. So he'd have all his mates round, and we'd have these like sessions where we're just like recording mixtapes, mixing garage. And he would be emceeing over it, and he'd be like, "Yeah, calling me DJ Jenga on the mic."
Love it.
Yeah,
but you
I retired that name though. So.
Yeah. You've hung it up on the wall.
Yeah. It might come back. You never know.
Yeah, well, who knows? You never know. What was that first vinyl you bought then?
First vinyl I brought. I can't remember the exact first one, but I remember some of the first vinyls that I brought was like Daniel Bedingfield, "Got to Get Through This," Monster Boy and Denzi, "I'm Sorry," which is a song that I actually sampled and covered in 2019 with my track Sorry, which was like my first hit record. So that was a real like full circle thing, because
awesome.
The original version of that was one of my favorite garage tracks growing up. And yeah, like I said, I was a garage head at the time. That was like the movement in you know, the circles that I was in, and I loved it. And that's why I've always got a huge love for garage music, because that's my roots.
Do you think music helped you express yourself and kind of grow in confidence?
100%. Like, I think during that period that we just spoke about, that's when I first got my decks and stuff. And I definitely feel like once I started doing my DJing, that was my hobby, and also the gym as well. I started going to the gym and I was DJing. They were my two things that I love to do. If I wasn't like spinning my vinyls in my bedroom, I was down the gym doing bench pressing. And, you know, I was only like 14, 15 this time. I was quite young to start that, because my dad was a tennis coach, so I got free membership to the gym.
Perfect.
So that was my two things. And I definitely think they were like the building blocks of like who I am today, and helped me get through that period of time. Because once I started like getting known as like Joel the DJ as well, that was kind of like my thing. And I was like, you know, people at school and stuff knew that I was DJing. It was kind of like a cool thing to do.
You talked about that early kind of gigs where you're kind of doing bar mitzvahs and Nan's birthdays. And that's great. But starting out in music for anyone, no matter how good you are, is incredibly difficult. There's traveling. There's probably not, you know, there's not as much money as you know, these big gigs that we've been talking about. What is that like then in those early stages of your career? What were the kind of main things that were in the way to getting to that next stage?
I've got to talk about it from a DJ perspective.
Yeah.
So obviously I think it's very different maybe for like a musician or something, but just from a DJing aspect, you've got to accept at the beginning, like you're not going to be getting paid. Like, well, this is my experience anyway. Like I just wanted to be on the decks. So I used to go to clubs and give like the resident DJ at the club my mix CD and be like, "Oh, like I'm Joel, like, I would love to come and do your warm-up hour. Here's my details." Giving my CDs out. I feel so old now, but at the time there wasn't really social media. Yeah, that's how I used to get my music out, was literally going to the clubs, handing out these CDs that I'd like burnt on my computer and stuck labels on.
Oh, classic.
So yeah, and then like, you know, those sort of early gigs like DJing at the local bar, local pub, there was no money in it, but I used to, you know, get that slot and then post about it all over Facebook and make a flyer myself. And it was a way of like self-promoting. And that was like the real early stages of doing it. And it was just a hustle. It literally was just a hustle. Like getting those sets, getting into any clubs that I could, DJing at under 18 events, and eventually, you know, putting the work in and keep pushing and hustling. Then I started to get paid for stuff. You know, I started to get booked to do people's birthday parties. And then I brought like the disco equipment to go out, turn up and put the lights up and smoke machine and decks. And I started earning a bit of cash that way. But I was young. I was only like 17.
Yeah,
16,
but like
17.
that's like, as you say, it's hustle. You've got to put in the energy if you actually want the reward, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Was there ever a thought where you were like, there's another career for me, or was it always music?
It's a good question, because I was earning money like doing my DJing, but it wasn't big money. It was just like cash in hand on the weekends. And when I got to about like 18, 19, I was at uni at the time and I was doing my sets on the weekend. And even at uni, I was just like, doesn't feel right. Like, because on the weekends I was out there like doing my thing, earning my money, and I was like, I'm actually working here and I'm making money here. Like, why am I doing this uni thing? But I got it done, and I stayed at uni and I finished the degree. And when I came out of uni, I went and got a job at MTV as a production assistant, like intern production assistant. So that was like working behind the camera, and I was still doing my sets on the weekend around London and my club residencies. And at that point I was like, okay, I've got a 9-to-5 job now in a really good job at MTV, which I absolutely loved. It was like one of the best jobs I've ever had. And I was like, okay, this is probably going to be my career path now, working my way up the TV production ladder. I've got family that work in the film industry as well. So I think at the time that was like, this is my career path. Because thinking that I was going to make it on the next level as a DJ just seemed like an out of reach dream. Because I knew at the time as well, like, to make it to the next level DJ, and I had to like get my music out there myself and really focus on producing and have hit records. And that just feels like a dream. Like, and my mum would kind of be like, Joel, like, what's the plan B? So those thoughts were in my head, but I just couldn't shake it, man. I was like, no, I have to make this happen. And I just kind of was like, no, there's no plan B. It's just plan A. This is going to happen. If I just keep going with this DJ thing and I focus on the music and I start releasing records and I just keep going and going and going, I believe at one point, you know, I can do it.
I mean, what keeps you motivated then now? Apart from, I mean, of course, apart from Brit Awards and like awards and stuff, what keeps you motivated to keep going and like creating music?
You know what? Just firstly, the love of DJing, which I still get the same buzz out of it like that I did when I was DJing in my bedroom when I was 13. I still, that is still very much alive in me. Like, I can't wait for my next set. When I'm on the decks, like, that's the happy place. Like, that's where I'm feeling amazing energy and adrenaline. So I think that's one driving force behind it, is that I just want to be on the biggest stages in the world, and I want to take the DJing to the highest level I can possibly take it. And I think the second thing that keeps me going is maybe like my competitive nature. Is I want to be the best, you know what I mean? I want to be number one. Like, even if I have a big win, it's all right in that little moment. But let me tell you, like, the next morning I wake up, it's almost like that's a thing of the past. And I'm already thinking, like, what's next? Like, I need to go and get another win. And it's a bit crazy. Like, I don't know what that is. I don't know where that like real competitive nature has come from. But it's an obsession. It's literally an obsession. Like, I can't switch it off.
But I think that's great. I think, as you say, you've found what you love, something that you're amazing at, and you obviously just want to be the best.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that's the journey.
Yeah.
Okay, you also get to DJ and be behind the decks at some pretty cool places, some awesome after parties. There must be a good story that you've seen. What's the like the weirdest thing you've seen?
Oh, God.
Or like something funny, or like maybe the Brits after party you've seen, like, oh God, they need to go home.
Well, my dad actually. My dad got absolutely smashed at the Brits, and he ended up getting taken home before the ceremony even finished. But we'll laugh about it today in my family. But that was just post-COVID as well, so it was the first time we all got to like go out.
Well,
as a
free
family.
Bar in the box. I've heard this. I know.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, big up my dad, man. He's the best.
But he should have eaten before.
Yeah. He had a good night.
So success as well, though, comes from selling records. It's public approval, getting those downloads, collabing with some of the biggest artists in the world. What is the definition of success to you? I know that's a really horrible question.
No. It's a good question. What's the definition of success?
For you, as in like with your music, how do you define success?
How do I define success? I would say that I feel like I've been successful at something when I feel like I've achieved a goal that I'd set out to achieve. That is like, and then obviously I've determined what that goal is. So in times where like I've maybe like not achieved the level of success in something, I felt like that was a bit of a letdown. But the times where like everything's gone right and it's gone to plan, and I feel like I wouldn't have changed anything, that I'd be like, that was success right there. And when I look back, obviously over the last few years, there's been like massive moments, like getting a #1 single. That's huge success. Like, I'm totally aware of that. And it drives me on to like do it again and again and again.
But when you're setting goals, I suppose as well, you can't just go, you know, I could say right now, my goal is I want to get to number one.
Yeah.
It's completely unfeasible.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
do you have stepping stones of goals?
Yeah, I think so. It's important, like, to have, you could even have goals like broken down just during the week. They could be as like small, but I do that actually quite a lot. And that's how I help myself get through a week, is just by like, these are the boxes I need to tick. These are the little goals and steps that I need to achieve this week. And then I just think, though, you obviously have those much bigger goals in your mind that you're always working towards.
Yeah, I mean, something as well with kind of success comes a lot of attention, be that from the public, but also, I suppose, when you first saw fame and success, did you get like people from school kind of trying to re-enter your life again? Yeah. Do you ever get people asking for favors when you're like, well, hang on a minute, we don't really talk? Do you ever get that? Like, and I'm not trying to name and shame. I'm just saying, like, do you get that?
Yeah. It's like, but I don't look at that as a bad thing. I think it's like really nice that like someone would reach out because they've obviously seen I'm doing something, and they're like, oh, I remember him back at school. I got to drop him a message now. And yeah, sometimes obviously the message might be like, oh, you know, can you sort me and my mates out a guest list?
Yeah.
But whatever, do you know what I mean? Like that's
yeah.
But yeah, to be honest, like I find that really nice that when people haven't spoke to in years, hit me up, be like, mate, I just want to say, you know, you heard your song on the radio today. I remember when we were back at school, like playing football on the Astro turf. This is crazy.
Friendship's an odd one though, isn't it? Because I mean, I think you're quite very specific in terms of you've got your best friend and your really close circle, including your family, and that's really nice. But with friendship, I mean, this is something that I've found recently as well. At what point do you call time on a friendship when you're the one just putting in all the effort and you're just not getting it back? Yeah. But like, what's your kind of, how do you see that?
Honestly, my circle is like, I've got like friends that are mates that like, you know, I don't see any friends anymore. If I'm being really honest, I spend so much time on my own, traveling around and working. I actually don't, it's bad. I should see my friends more than I do. I feel like I've disconnected with a lot of people. I still like WhatsApp groups with old friends and stuff that I used to go on holiday with and go out like raving with and stuff. But it's actually got to sit thinking about it now. I haven't seen my friends in like 2 years.
Really?
Yeah.
When's your birthday?
10th of June.
Perfect time. You've got to sort something out.
I'm working.
Oh, well, you've got to find a date. I think, I mean, hey.
Yeah. I've got like my best mate.
Yeah.
I see now and again, but like, you know, like my group of mates, of course. I literally haven't seen them in years.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, Is
that tough?
I do miss those times.
Do you feel like you're missing out? Well, I know you're not in your own life, but do you know what I mean? You're like, oh.
I guess I just haven't sat there and thought about it until right now, actually. But I have got so many good memories, like with my like wider group of friends from like years ago when we used to go on holidays, I said, and go on nights out and stuff. But though since I really started like the global touring, there hasn't been any opportunity for that whatsoever. But I guess like you kind of stay in touch on WhatsApp. So, you know, there's a WhatsApp
You almost
group.
feel in touch.
So you feel in touch. But when I actually sit here thinking about it, I actually haven't seen those guys in years, which is mad.
Yeah, it's mental, isn't it?
Do I feel like I'm missing out on it? Do I feel like I'm missing out? Sometimes, I guess, I do. If I see them talking about a night out, whatever, that I haven't been involved in, and photos as a group that I'm not in. But on the other side of that, I'm so focused on what I'm doing and know the sort of effort and time that I've got to put into what I'm doing overrides that, I think. Yeah,
for sure. You work so much as well, though. Have you ever kind of got to a point where you're burnt out? Have you ever got to that stage?
Other DJs have hit me up about this before, about the burnout thing, because they've seen probably that amount of tour dates I'm doing and going, Joel, like, be careful, don't burn out. And people around me said it as well. I don't feel like I've ever like fully had that burnt out feeling, but I think it's because I really look after myself. You know, we spoke about it earlier, like my exercise, my diet, my lifestyle. I don't party too much. Like I'm aware of like looking after myself to avoid that burnout. But I definitely have had moments where I wouldn't say it was like full burnout, but I've had moments where I've like needed to have a couple of weeks off. It normally happens at the end of the year. I remember there was one year in particular. It was 2022. I'd come off a big summer in Ibiza. I did a track called History with Becky Hill. And then that campaign finished, and I went straight into another campaign with Tom Grennan, a track called Lionheart. And that, at the time, I was like going back and forth to America every weekend to DJ, and then DJing like in Europe during the week, in Ibiza as well, all the way through to like September. And then also trying to launch the campaign for Lionheart with Tom. And that campaign in particular was like really rigorous. Like we did loads of different, it was really fun, but I had to be in London to like do the content for it and be present in all the different things that we were doing to promote the record. And I remember, man, it took it out of me because I was then like getting on a flight to like America, like, you know, West Coast LA is like, it's a long flight.
Time zones,
and then flying straight back after the gig to London to then promote the record and, you know, to do every radio interview because I wanted the record to be a success. And at the time it was the World Cup as well. It was the year, the World Cup was in the winter.
Yeah.
So we were doing loads of like football based stuff, but it was all in the UK. And I was just like, I need to be here to do this. So I was going back and forth. I remember it got to the end of that campaign and it was like getting towards like November, December. And I was just like, I was ruined, man. I remember my mom was just like, Joel, what's wrong with you? I was like, I felt like a shell of myself. And I took a week off in January and I came back stronger the next year. But I remember, you know, that mentally it was a difficult sort of, because the schedule was just so intense.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember I felt it. I was like, is this kind of, am I sort of burning out here a little bit?
Was there anyone, you know, when you're doing that kind of traveling and you are so busy, is there anyone at the label or management that are going like, slow down? I know that you want the track to be a success, but is there anyone that steps into kind of with that duty of care?
100%. Like my label, amazing, my management, amazing. And they're always telling me like, you're doing too much, but they know me too well. And they just know I won't listen. Because I feel like I've got to do everything I possibly can in my power on any project that I'm working on, anything that I'm currently doing. I know that it's on me. Like the more I put into this, the more I'm going to get out of it. And I don't want to leave anything to chance. Like if inside I feel like I could have worked harder on something, I beat myself up about that after. And I hate that feeling so much. So I'm just like, literally, I'll do everything up. But my management now are like, Joel, you need to start saying no. Like, and they're like, there's also like power in the word of no as well.
Of course.
I am the sort of guy that will just say yes to everything. I can't say no because I want to do everything. Maybe that's one of my like weaknesses, but I actually think it's probably the reason why I probably got to where I am today is because of that, whatever that is inside me where I need to say yes and do it.
I think one of the things that we've touched on that is so important for you and consistent in your life is that fitness and working out and exercise. And obviously that benefits one's mental health hugely. Yeah. However, you've gone through a period of time where, you know, fitness got unhealthy obsession, right? Yeah. And you were an incredible physique, but it actually got to a point where it was actually affecting your mental health probably to a point. Are you happy to touch on that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're talking about when I was doing the competitions and the bodybuilding. Yeah. All right. So I started going to the gym when I was a teenager. Like we spoke about, that was my hobby, like alongside the DJing, and I definitely got like really obsessed with it. I'm not sure again what the whole reasoning was behind it, but when I was a teenager, I was definitely obsessing about my body and wanting to get muscles and get big. And, you know, I used to look up to bodybuilders and watch the videos on YouTube and stuff and be like, I want to be big, I want to be ripped. And I loved it. I loved going to the gym. It was like, I got a lot of pleasure out of like lifting weights and, you know, building my body up. And I think when I just got to like my early 20s, I had a sponsorship deal with Optimum Nutrition. And at the time I was kind of involved in Geordie Shore, which was a TV show. And so I was kind of was on TV and doing my gym stuff. And I was like, almost felt, and I got the deal with Optimum Nutrition. And I felt at that point, I was like, I want to prove myself. Like, I want to get on stage and do this fitness thing properly, take it to another level. It was almost like just something inside me was like pushing me to do it. It was like something that I needed to give it a go and see how I could do. And so I entered like my first competition, which was called Miami Pro. And I had my friend Jamie was like going to coach me for this, like do my diet plan. And it was like a 4-month preparation for this competition. And anybody that's ever like prepared for like I was doing men's fitness category, but basically it was like, you know, I had to get as shredded as possible in the best shape and just train as hard as I could and diet as hard as possible. And it was rigorous. Like if anyone's ever prepared for a competition, you're in a calorie deficit for like 16 weeks.
Yeah, it's painful.
It's painful, man. You literally feel like you're starving to death. And I really pushed it as well. And, you know, I ended up winning that competition.
Yeah.
So, you know, the work I put in paid off at the end. And the condition I had to get my body in for that was insane. And after winning that competition, I kind of then was like, oh, I want to do it again. And I entered another competition, which was literally a week after. So I was still in shape. And I won that. So I won that double. That was called Pure Elite. And so I won double competitions back to back. And I was like, oh, I want to enter the next one. So then that was like a further 6 weeks of preparation. Then I went and did that. And it was like, at the end of it, I was just mashed up because I put my body through this crazy, almost punishment to look this way and do these competitions. But I kind of got a bit of a buzz from it. And I was like, the next year, then I entered another competition. The next year I did another competition. So I ended up doing this for like 3 years. All the time I was still doing my DJing on the weekends, by the way. So I was still like working through, like, you know, it didn't stop me like doing what I was doing. I was just working around it, which was hard because obviously DJing is like such weird hours, and the bodybuilding and the preparation was so specifically about a routine and like what time I did the cardio and when I ate my meals. So to work that around the DJ schedule was really difficult and the travel, but it was fine. I got through it. I did like 3-4 years of it. I ended up getting like the front cover of Muscle and Fitness magazine, which was like a big end goal of mine. And I think once I got that, I was like, well, I'm going to stop doing this now. Like, I feel like I've ticked the box, reached the end game of this, and then really focus then back onto my music.
That's an interesting thing. So you actually reached the goal of there are no more goals in this side of things. Almost.
I felt like I'd done everything I wanted to do in the fitness competitive space. I knew that I didn't have the genetics to like take it to the next level, because you know, to really get to that top level, doing the men's fitness, men's physique stuff. I mean, like Ryan Terry, for example, won Mr. Olympia last year, is insane. And I have so much respect for him, and I have so much respect for anyone that does the bodybuilding thing, because it is the hardest thing in the world. But I knew that I had reached like what I felt was my limit with it, and I wasn't prepared to then keep digging and keep going. And I also didn't have the genetics to then go to the next level. So, you know, getting the front cover of Muscle and Fitness for me felt like, after winning all those competitions at that certain level I was at, and then getting the front cover of that magazine, I just felt like that was it. Like, I'd done it, you know, I'd got it out of my system. I still loved it, going to the gym. I go every day, but it's a lifestyle thing now. I'm not doing it for a competitive reason.
You've got balance now.
Yeah. It's like a physical, mental thing for me now. Just
stimulating as well, right?
Yeah. Like it's a healthy level as well, you know, because let's be honest, doing that was not healthy. And I just feel like I'd done it. And then I was like, right, time to move on now. You know, what really is like the big dream of mine in my life is my music, is my DJ. And let's refocus everything back on that, you know, because the bodybuilding was taking so much out of me. I wanted to shift my 100% focus back to my music again. And I think actually, like, when I did that, that was a big turning point of my life as well, when I really made that decision to be like, I'm going all in on my music 100% now. I'm going to make this happen. Kind of shifted the fitness thing to the side a little bit. That felt like a bit, because after that, then I got like my gig on Kiss FM. And then once I got in at Kiss, things started to move a little bit. I made a few big changes in my life. I remember actually that year, it was like 2017, 2018. That's when things really started to change actually for me. Yeah.
Back then, I know that social media was still very much a kind of a prominent part of life in general. Yeah. I would say it's probably even more so now. Do you think when you were in that kind of fitness mode, if you had that kind of body image and social media relationship, do you think it would have been exacerbated and got worse? Because I think body image and social media now, it's a huge concern of probably parents and like young teenagers, probably more so girls than guys. But having said that, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, when I was doing it, like Instagram was actually popular at the time, and I remember I was like posting my pictures on Instagram, and then like people were going, oh, like loads of comments, and I was getting that validation from that, and that was definitely a part of it. And I think, you know, I definitely think like that whole social media thing and like putting up the pictures and the content footage, yeah, like I definitely think that was driving. I think everyone in the industry that was doing it it's become such a big part of the fitness industry now with social media. It does play a huge part.
Yeah, it does.
Everyone's looking for that validation.
Yeah, I mean, the social media in general is an interesting one. What's your relationship like with that? Do you ever get in kind of spirals or I mean, I know that you're a workaholic, but you must kind of like.
Yeah, I actually think like I'm a bit older now. Like I'm 35 this year. I think I've got a bit more of a grasp on it.
Yeah.
But definitely in the past, it's affected me like it's affected everybody. And also, you know, when you see criticism of yourself on social media, it does play on your mind. And
did you beat yourself up if you kind of read a negative comment? Does that affect you?
I'll be totally honest with you. Yeah, of course. But I think that's human, isn't it?
Of course.
And what I think I've accepted though is if you do put yourself out there, whether it be doing a reality TV show, whether it be doing fitness stuff, music, DJing, and you're in the public eye in some respect, and you're putting out something that people can have opinion on, you have to accept that like you are going to see that stuff and people are going to write bad things about you and nasty stuff. But that's just unfortunately part of it now because social media is such a big thing. And there is people that are like, will go in on you on social media. I mean, I don't understand how people can like write nasty stuff about other people on social media, like who sits there and does that, but people do it. And if you put yourself out there and you have to accept that that is going to happen.
I think that's a really good frame of mind to have on it. It's just like, ultimately, they are entitled to their opinion, whether it's right or wrong, and whether they're going to sit there behind a keyboard and do it.
Yeah.
Frankly, they can do it.
Yeah.
But it's also up to you as a person as well to be strong enough to not just sit there and go through comments.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to someone the other day on a podcast going, oh, I read the Daily Mail comments about myself.
Oh,
what are you doing?
They're the worst.
That's the worst thing you could possibly do.
Oh, mate, the Daily Mail ones are brutal.
Yeah, it's like, don't even bother.
Yeah, no. I've had like different moments where I've had like backlash moments on social media, and yeah, they are hard to deal with, man. It hurts. It hurts at the time, but I think as I have got older, it doesn't affect me as much because I've probably been through quite a few of those moments.
Got a thicker skin.
Yeah, I think so, mate. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, do you? But and I don't mean this in any negative way at all. When you go out, sometimes do people still go, "Oh, you're the guy from Geordie Shore"?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because back then, though, I imagine you were a lot younger.
Yeah.
And actually, having the public eye on you then, you were probably a little bit more volatile, a little bit more, as you say, now you're thicker skinned. So back then, it was probably a little bit. Easier. When people judged you, it was a bit more. There
was no filter back then either. Like it's not like there's filter now, but back then there was really no filter, and people just would write whatever they wanted. But yeah, now I'll be out doing gigs sometimes, and people come like, I used to remember watching Geordie Shore. Like I'll have a laugh about it. Do you know what I mean? It's nice. Like,
no, of course.
It's not like a negative.
No, definitely not.
Part of my journey in it, and it's just fun sometimes to reflect on those times, which they were like really fun times. And if anyone ever like brings it up around me, I'm always positive about it. And
from meeting you, I think that's like something that's very clear that you've got a very positive mindset and like outlook on anything. Because actually, what's the point in having a negative mindset? Because you just dwell on things.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's really important to try and always look on the positive side of things. And I just believe as well, like, why would I not be positive about what I'm doing? Like, I'm literally living my dream right now. And, life is going to have its ups and downs, and everybody goes through them. But trying to keep that positive mindset, is important for me to keep my energy in the right place.
So Geordie Shore had a big, and there's no denying it, I suppose, as well. Geordie Shore just had, it was an excessive use of alcohol on the show back then. And I'm wondering, what's your relationship like now with alcohol, and how's that evolved through the years?
So because I've always been so into my fitness, I think that's always steered me away from getting too caught up in the proper party lifestyle. Although, like anyone, I do love going out with my mates and like going like raving. I've got the best memories of my life on the dance floor, in Ibiza, having those mad times and mad holidays. And in my job, I'm always around alcohol. It's everywhere. Like I'm in like a job where it's all about partying basically. So you have to kind of like pick and choose your moments. For example, my birthday, I'm DJing at Ushuaia that night with David Guetta and like probably have a few drinks that night and go out afterwards because it's my birthday. But then I probably won't go out for like another few weeks after that because the travel schedule was so crazy. But when I'm DJing, I might just have a few drinks here and there, but I wouldn't be getting like smashed.
Yeah, for sure. Right. As you continue to grow as this artist, you've already had some incredible success. You've had your number one. You've worked with some awesome people. What are the goals at this point now?
To have more number ones.
Literally, yeah.
I feel like I'm like addicted to the game now, and I would just want to keep going. And it's hard, man. It's hard. The music industry is difficult. It's you know, to stay kind of like relevant and to keep those levels in an industry that is ever changing and ever evolving. It's really, really tough. I need to work harder than ever now to sustain it. And people are always gonna be judging you, man.
Yeah, for sure. It's true.
And you feel the pressure. And I have to just keep working, keep believing in what I'm doing, and through all the bumps, you know, and all the highs, just enjoy the journey, which I'm doing, man. I'm trying to be present every day and having these amazing experiences and try not let the pressure crack me.
Yeah, wow, you're doing a good job. You've worked with some awesome artists already. Like, I mean, David Guetta on your birthday is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Who's on the bucket list to collab with? Anyone?
Ed Sheeran.
Yeah?
I always get asked who's like your dream collab. I always say Ed Sheeran, but he knows that anyway.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I remixed this single "Bad Habits" a few years ago. Then after that, kind of hit him up on the DMs and met up with him at a couple of after parties. And yeah, he's a lovely guy. He said he's like doing some music out in Italy this summer, and he invited me to go over. So yeah, hopefully that can happen. And I'm a big fan of his, which he knows. So you never know.
All right. I thought this is going to be a good question. If you could bring one artist back to life that you would like to collab with, who would it be and why?
Oh my God. Who would I bring back to life? Who am I going to say? I mean, the obvious one's Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
I mean, I know everyone would say that, but I mean,
yeah, of course. I'm a musical genius.
Yeah, it's got to be Michael, innit?
Yeah, I mean, fair.
I'm sure every single person would probably answer that question with the same answer, though.
Well, fine. Right, Kylie Minogue, though.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I was in the studio with Kylie in LA last month, and it was an amazing experience. She's the queen. And just, you know, when you work with somebody and they're just such a pro, that's what she was. That's what hit me about her.
It's so easy.
It's so easy, man. And like, there was just no, there was no team around fussing about, or like no sort of like diva sort of it was just literally like, we're here to work. We're going to get this track done. We've got, this much hours together. Let's smash it and focus and work. And I just love that. I love working with somebody that like has that outlook on the mindset on it. And I can tell why she's had such a long, successful career, because
people will love working with her.
Yeah, and she's an absolute pro.
That's really cool. Right, to date, what is the pinch me moment? Because there's been, as you say, I mean, David Guetta on your birthday, working with Kylie Minogue, this is all insane.
Yeah.
But, when you were if you look back to yourself in your, you and your brother emceeing, it's DJ Jenga, here we go. And you look back now, like, what's that reflection and pinch me moment? You're like, wow, if my little self knew that.
Yeah. I would say my pinch me moment was when I got the phone call to tell me that Head and Heart had gone to #1, and I had secured a #1 single. And I remember just thinking, oh my God, imagine you told myself 5 years ago that I would have a #1 record. Insane. And it went on to be like the highest selling record 2020 as well. So, what that record achieved, and doing it with M and EK, when I look back on it now, it was just such a special moment for me. And I feel like that was probably the biggest pinch myself moment.
I don't know if this is a myth or not. When you get your #1, you get your little trophy, right?
Yeah.
Where is your trophy?
Oh, it's in my studio.
Nice.
Yeah, I always look at it for a bit of inspiration when I need it. It's really heavy.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it's literally like a weight.
That's great. Hey, Joel, I really enjoyed this, but there's one question that I ask every guest.
Yeah.
What does the word headstrong mean to you?
Headstrong. Okay. I think the word headstrong is believing in yourself and what you're doing. And when you say headstrong to me, that's what I feel. I feel like all the outside noise that, you know, those moments of like self-doubt and any negativity or any second guessing myself, it all then washes away when I just come back to that, like, no, I believe in what I'm doing and I know I can do this. That's like headstrong for me.
Dude, love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank
and
you.
Have a great summer.
Nice one.
You're
Thanks.
gonna be
Maybe I'll
traveling
see you
a
in Ibiza.
Yeah, I doubt it.